Morning, everybody. It's Brian. Hope you're doing well today. It's what is today? Wednesday, the 14th of October, and just gonna run through some stuff really quickly. I don't have a whole lot for you today. Unfortunately, there's kind of a mixed situation in the markets, and I think it's a we'll get to that in a second. So start things off. First things first. Really, we always begin by having a look at what news is on the table for us today. And today's pretty much clear sailing. We don't have any high impact news that's coming out that would impact us. I mean, of course, there's always the left field stuff that no one can really plan for, which is why we should always use stops when we trade. But so as far as planned high impact announcements, there's really not much coming out. We've got, at 7:30, we've got some medium impact, which is the core PPI. But there's really not much for us until we get later into the week. I think it's Friday, which is where we have the high impact news. So still a couple of days before we get to there. But so that leaves us, with the ability to just, trade what we're seeing on the charts, trade our plans and move from there. So there's nothing that would take us out of the market due to a news event. So that's good. It's not often that we have, multiple days in a row of just, tradable opportunity. Now, with that said, where's the opportunity? Let's pop over here. If we look at the, starting off with forex, if we look at, what's happening over here in currency strength indexes, we were able to see that the pound is certainly being very heavily bought over the course of the day so far. So the pound is a strong currency. And we've, due to the strength of this, it's really pushing pretty much everything down to the midpoint or below. With that said, that's, I think, initial glance, you'd say, hey, I want to look at pound cross pairs. I want to trade, stuff against the pound. Well, the challenge is, the pound, because of this really heavy move buying, most of our pound cross pairs are pretty much ranged out. And I always say this, I'll say it again. Does it mean that they can't move anymore? No, of course not. They could move another 150 pips in whatever direction, but we play, everything that we do in trading should be based on, laws of averages. And one thing that we see here is, typically when a currency pair has a certain range, it can exceed that, of course, but what's the likelihood of it exceeding that and really continuing to run? So, if something's already, doing air quotes here, ranged out, maybe that's a signal that we should, stay on the sideline for a little bit. I mean, of course, the opportunity, if you look at the currency pairings that really haven't seen their full range for the day, like CAD yen, for example, it's only moved 27 pips, its average is around 60. Euro USD, it's only moved 35 pips, its average is into the 65 to 70 range. Euro CAD, it's only moved 50 pips, its average is into the high 70s, low 80s, mid 80s here. Euro yen, it's moved 36 pips. It's averaged into the mid 70s, high 70s, and low 80s. So there's opportunity there, but that would cause us to really have to start watching these currencies, which are, the reason that you're seeing such low ranges there is because they've been trading pretty much in lockstep. There hasn't been a lot of activity on any of those currencies. Your main activity has been here on the pound over the course of the day. So, with that said, if we see a burst of activity here where the, let's say the my brain's just not working this morning, where we see the CAD, maybe start to move to weakness, continues to be sold, but then we see the yen seeing some buying activity on it, that could give us an opportunity maybe to trade on that. The Euro CAD, they're again pretty much in lockstep here, but if we see one of these really begin to diverge stronger, that could give us an opportunity to maybe pair the Euro versus the CAD together. But that really requires, some movement. It would require the attention to be off of the pound and onto, some other currencies down here where we're seeing activity change. And now we've got a brand new market session. We're just now, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern, the forex market session has begun for US and Canada. So it is very possible we'll see a different level of buying and selling and different focus on other currencies. So it is possible, but don't try to front run it and don't try to guess. just wait and see. If we get that setup, if we see some divergence, then, we can obviously take those trades and play that action. But, if we don't, I'd say for right now, sit on your hands, because most of the attention's been here on the pound, and the pound has already moved at or beyond what its typical range is on most of these currency pairings. So, today we'll just stay on the sidelines with that. Moving over to the futures market, still a lot of uncertainty here. S&P, if we look at the biases, we're still in a long bias. The 4 hour is long, the 30-minute is long as well. But we are hanging right here to key point, 3,500, big key level for us. So we have a long bias, and we'd like to look at long trading opportunities that could look like a break. If we see this thing really shoot up and it breaks above 3,520, that could be a long opportunity to buy on a breakout there. A bounce would be buying off of 3,500, maybe down as low as 3,490. I would say, though, take that with a grain of salt. If we break below 3,500 here and stay below this and start moving down, especially if we break 3,490, I would stop looking for longs, because that might be the signal that this is starting to roll over. So this might be a good day to sit on your hands if you see this thing really start to break down here, because then we'd have conflicting bias with what this 4 hour is looking like and what the 30 minutes looking like at that point. Certainly if you're looking to be a counter trend trader, breaks down below 3,490 might be your opportunity to sell. Now that would be counter trend. And also counter to the longer term bias. Safer situation there would be if it starts to break down and we start getting selling. Looks like we're getting selling opportunities. It would be to stay on the sidelines and just let this thing do what it's going to do. There's a lot of room to pull back here and still be in an upward trend. Keeping in mind also that next week we saw an announcement that they're looking to take a vote on that CARES Act again. So, certainly even if we did see some weakness here and they started to pull back, we could go as low as 34.50, even down to 34, and still be in a upward bias. And if that passes, and there's some good news around that, we could see a pullback and then a rally into that bullish position. So just be cautious of what we're doing. But right now bias is long on the 4 hour, long on the 30-minute. We can look for breaks above 35.20 would be a long opportunity on a breakout. There's not a whole lot of room for us to watch for pullbacks and then play the breakout on the close of the breakout of the previously closed lower high. Because as I said, if we start pulling back, we're sitting at 3,500 right now. If we start pulling back off of this and break down below 3,500, I personally think that's a signal that we could be seeing this roll over on the shorter term. So, do with that what you will. Crude. Over here on the crude side, we've got a mixed bag. 4 hour is still technically long. It's been flat, but it's still technically long. 30 minutes, flat, but it's I don't know what we are even here. Let's see. Yes, technically we're still long on this as well, but if we break down below 40, this will be a mixed bias on crude. So for crude, could really go either way. I would say we've kind of got this channel here, between really 40.20 and 39.80. If we break down below 39.80, that could be that signal that we're rolling over and looking short there. Breaks above 40.20, could look to go long. But when we've got this funny mixed bias like this, oftentimes the better situation, better solution is just to sit on your hands and not get all antsy about having to take a trade or needing to take a trade. Just let the market figure out what it's going to be doing, where it's going to be going. I think with crude, good time to just kind of sit and let this thing find out what its direction is going to be. I think a lot of that's going to hinge on what's happening over here. If we start to see this roll over and really fall, that could bring crude down with it. So be aware there. Gold, we've technically got a mixed bias. The 4 hour is technically still long, although as this 4 hour closes, I think that'll pull this down here, and we'll have switched over to a short bias again. Short bias on the 30-minute for sure, although we are kind of hanging here to key level 1900. Certainly as a key level for us. We see that on the 4 hour. So I have a hard time wanting to sell gold. I think we could see bounces off of 1900 back to the long side, but technically right now this is a mixed bias, and it may become a short bias here after this 4-hour candle closes. We'll have to see what's actually going on there once that candle closes and determine what our bias and direction is. So if you're not digging selling, you could just simply wait until you get a confirmed buy opportunity again on gold. All right, so that's it. That's all I have for you for today. Not a whole lot to really review and cover. Crypto stuff, still working on that bot. It's man, it's just constant circular chasing of stuff here. There's you can get good win rates on the short term, but crypto has these funny swings. I think it's a level of market manipulation there, where you just suddenly see spikes one direction or the other that take you out and wipe out the earnings that you've got. So still trying to figure out a solution around that. Maybe there isn't one. Maybe to use that saying I've used before, you make hay while the sun shines. So maybe there's the solution is you're just constantly pulling a profit, and when it does bounce out and make one of those, I don't know. So anyway, I'm still working on the bot. Anyway, that's the long and short of it. I'm still working on the bot. I'm getting great signals. It's just trying to get that to be consistent to where we can have that kind of daily income from it, if you will. That seems to be the challenge. So anyway, when I get it done, I'll share it. But until then, it's always on the drawing board. All right, so that's it. We've talked about forex. We've talked about S&P, crude, and gold. So that's it. I'm gonna leave it here, and you guys have a great day. Bye.